Hey everybody, so this is sort of an addendum to the Lindsay Ellis video, and I'll be posting this probably day afterward. Thank you to everyone who's complimenting my lipstick, I appreciate it. I work pretty hard at this stuff. I don't know if I do great, but whatever. So, I want to introduce you to a content creator. I can't show you on my screen because they have blocked me, and I'll get to why in a second. So, I used to follow a certain content creator by the name of Lily Orchard. Lily Orchard is a commentator for children's cartoons and formerly a member of the Brony community. When I was still early into transition, one of the things I really liked about Lily's work is that Lily is very angry and very, very opinionated. And when you're early into transition, you're scared as fuck. You're not sure about what's going to happen. You're not sure if anyone's going to even listen to you. And seeing a trans woman be so directly out and aggressive really, really meant a lot. Like a lot. And then I started being less angry. As I started to be a little bit more comfortable in my skin, and as I noticed that I felt more comfortable with myself, I noticed that I was starting to get very frustrated with Lily's content, which came about in the form of, let's see if we can bring this up on screen. So I'm going to be really clear, as per usual, if I'm talking about a content creator, that does not mean go and harass them or be an asshole. What it means is that I am trying to make a point, and I will be talking about this content creator more so in the future. So here is Lily's content. There you go. I decided to pause that because I don't need to hear it right now. One of the things I like about Lily is that she doesn't use girl voice. She just speaks from where she is. Sometimes she uses it, but generally speaking, it's not too bad. Here's the issue. I think that Lily is very good at making fairly deep criticism, except when it comes to other people. Like, I'll say this. This is going to be an unpopular opinion. Oh, is that where I stole that from? Hold on. Let me show you guys on screen. Boo-da-boop. Nope, da-boop. There. So this is Lily's content. Helps if I actually put it on fucking screen, right? So, Lily's stuff can be really funny. Her comedy shorts about in a minute are really good. Her stuff around various things, such as Star Wars, is really interesting. And apparently I stole this idea from her discourse, so Lily, I apologize. Also, I'm going to keep using it. And then this video came out. Right? Can't see it because of chat. This video is called ContraPoints Needs to Stop Spewing Turf Rhetoric. It's called Natalie Whinging. Up until this point, I actually found myself really enjoying Lily's content. I felt like it was a really great way to get into a passionate place. And then I saw this video and it really shook me. And I started to notice the trend that was in this video that was in all of her videos. Even if her arguments are solid, they still feel like, in often cases, lashing out. Now, I'm going to forgive a certain amount of lashing out. We'll talk more about triggers later. I do think that people are going to sometimes, when they're hurt, do that. It comes from the way our bodies are built. It comes from the way that triggers function. Here's where I get into the problem. This video is completely inaccurate. I'm not going to go through it on stream tonight. I might do it at some point, but I think there's a much better video for this that Vosh has about talking about it. Because this video goes out of its way to paint Natalie Wynn as the most terrible person in the world. And there are substantial critiques that could be made. But this just reads as vicious vitriol. And I look at this as something that says, this stuff is not just about being passionate for passion's sake. It is anger for anger's sake. Everyone from Lily's perspective is bad. She doesn't like the word queer because she says it's a slur, even though it's been reclaimed, and a good percentage of the LGBT community agrees with that. There's actually a really good essence of thought that shows this among several other people that have talked about this. My point with bringing her up today is this. Something funny happened. If we look at my notifications, I don't know if it's going to show me, but there was a really interesting thing that happened on the way to the situation, and it was I had posted a quote tweet saying that I thought Lily was being vitriolic. I'm trying to find where that quote tweet is right now. Not seeing it. But essentially I just said the vitriol because she had made a shitty comment about Lindsay Ellis. And I was like, okay, I don't really know how that's helpful, but go off, I guess. Oh, right here. It makes sense that Lindsay Ellis deleted her Twitter. Apologies just aren't in her vocabulary, and it takes half a dozen tries before she figures out how to actually block someone. The infantilizing, the vitriol. Holy shit. So I said, the vitriol. And you'll notice it doesn't show any replies here. Because Lily's response to me was something to the effect of, Lindsay Ellis is a big girl, and I think she can handle it. Or an adult. I forget which terminology she used. My response is actually very similar to what Zena just said. Lily's argument was one comment isn't going to destroy Lindsay Ellis, which is true. Not one of them, but the whole of Twitter doing them? Absolutely. I work with teens who have been cyberbullied, and it's never just one person, but the mob of people in total that does demonstrable harm. This is objectively factual. There's no argument to be made here. Apparently she did respond at some point, but I literally can't read it. Because following this, Lily blocked me. Funny story, Lily Orchard responded to one of my tweets. When I lightly pushed back and told her the mob shit on Twitter is demonstrably harmful, she apparently responded and blocked this account. Was it something I said? Now, why am I talking about this? Is it being petty? Absolutely. But here's my problem. Is that I'm willing to engage with these folks and actually have a substantive conversation about what happened here. This has been my problem with Lily Orchard for as long as I can now remember, for the last year at least. Lily's justification of verbal and emotional and sometimes physical violence against creators is a very real thing, and I think this is a thing that needs to be discussed more often. Lily, on her Tumblr, when I used to follow it and had a Tumblr, actively would post things about ContraPoint, saying that she deserved to be hit in the face, hit with a brick, all sorts of things. And of course, these were all tongue-in-cheek. She wasn't actively advocating for things, at least I don't think so. But there are people that would take those things serious. Lily Orchard has actively said she wanted the harm towards a trans woman, another trans woman, because she didn't like her. You can say that Contra hasn't always been clear, or has not always made good arguments, but the fact of the matter is to say that she, by definition, was acting turfy is just demonstrably false. Just absolutely false. It does not stand. It does not hold water. And so, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I don't like bullies. Whether that is the mob of Twitter attacking Lindsay Ellis, or other content creators who are joining into the mob just to get their licks in for no rational reason. You cannot like someone's content. You can have substantive critiques about them. But to simply say that they can handle the mob justice because they're an adult is horseshit. That's not how social psychology works. That's not how people work. And so I want to make it very clear in this that I'm not trying to like dog Lily Orchard. I'm not trying to be a bitch to her. I'm being a little petty, a little cunty, but I'm not really being attacking. My concern here is that Lily has portrayed herself as having previous experience in mental health. She has gone off on hunting down predators, which I think is great. But the reality of it is that I just don't think she has the right or the ability to speak out on some of these things, because I feel like her view is incredibly vitriolic and harmful. And this is coming from someone who used to like her, who used to be a fan, who actively subscribed to her channel. I really like her takedowns in the BronyCon stuff. I really like her stuff about pointing out certain mental health things, which I will admit she has been accurate about, but she's been she's been a little bit flagrant with some of the ways she lashes out. Let's see. Sundrop Center said, there are certainly people who want to offer Lindsay some legit criticism. Agreed. But people like Lily, they just take pleasure in watching people with more success and admiration fall from grace. Exactly. This is my fucking point. Thank you, Sundrop. Holy shit. This is absolutely true. To me, I look at Lily Orchard as a glass cannon. She's very good at dishing out critique. She really sucks at taking it. If you go through her comments, they're curated, like mine, for good reason. Mine, I'm a trans woman. She's a trans woman as well. So it makes sense that we curate her comments. But there is a way in which Lily insulates herself to such a degree that I don't think she allows any kind of criticism, because to criticize her means that you're bad. But then she'll hand-wave away some of her favorite people like Movie Bob, who still support ContraPoints, even though she's made a video that actively lies and clips and ships things often. For those who don't know, there's a term on the internet called clipping, or clip and shipping, which is you take clips out of someone's video out of context and attack them. Lily's video against Natalie Wynn is exactly that. And I think that her critiques around Lindsay Ellis are this as well. So I want to bring this up in the fact that I don't like this stuff from anybody. I don't think Twitter should have gone after Lindsay Ellis, and I really, let me be very clear here, don't like the fact that Lily Orchard thinks it's a good idea to lash out at other people. There are times where I've justified her behavior to friends and people who I've suggested watch those videos. But let me be very clear, that is not me today. I got past that anger. I still am frustrated. I'm still very scared about a lot of things. But I don't think this is okay. And I want to make it very clear that we need to, as a community, and as the people who watch me, we need to be very careful, because I think it's appropriate to have really good arguments and have really good intentions. If I go after something or someone, I want it to be with the best of intentions. My hope is that Lily will hear my critique and pass my petty bitchiness, right, girl to girl, that she'll hear that I'm legitimately concerned for her. Right? Now, Lily is not my client, and if she was, I wouldn't be able to talk about this. But the fact is that I don't like that she speaks about mental health in certain ways, because there's ways in which I think that she may be a little bit off, or she claims she has more expertise than she does. To my knowledge, Lily has no formal education in mental health. I, on the other hand, have a master's in counseling and a bachelor's in psychology. So maybe this is a formal way of me saying stay in your lane. Additionally, I'm saying this because, as a person that used to be a former fan, something changed. Early Lily Orchard videos were actually really fun. Even the ones after her transition, where she got a little bit more aggressive. Her dunking on various, content creators and people like that were really great, really fun. And a lot of her critiques around shows were really kind of fucking great. Again, I know it's not popular, but I don't like Steven Universe. I just don't. The show doesn't work for me. And I think Lily's critiques about it are accurate. Her video, Steven Universe is garbage and here's why, I actually enjoyed. I thought her Legend of Korra is garbage and here's why was actually really good and pointed out some really fucking weird, misogynistic shit in that show. So this is not saying Lily Orchard bad. I don't want people to fucking do that shit. What I want to be heard or understood is this. I think that it is inappropriate to lash out at a fellow content creator when the whole of Twitter is doing it as well. Because you should know what that's like when whole communities come after you. And I know this is not just like a hypothetical. For me, it's a hypothetical, but, you know, maybe someday if I'm lucky. But with Lily's actually been attacked by other communities. The Brony community, the animation community, people who are really into, like, Steven Universe. Lily's actively been harmed before in lots of ways. And you can read about that on her Tumblr. I'm not going to go into specifics out of respect for her privacy. But the fact of the matter is that you know what this does. You know what this is like. And to do this is demonstrably harmful. So Lillian, as a fellow trans woman, let me say this, and another person who also cares about mental health. I think you need to be willing to treat people better, because there's a big difference between Lindsay Ellis saying something stupid and a Nazi. I think there's something very different about ContraPoints and a TERF. Now, my concern is that you're not going to listen to this, Lily. You're going to blow me off as another liberal or another TERF or another trans medicalist when I'm none of these things. In fact, at some point, I'm going to make a very interesting argument about the notion of gender dissonance, a term I have only heard in the book by, what is it? God, can't remember right now. The author of Whipping Girl. Oh, Julia Serrano. There we go. Julia Serrano talks about the idea of gender dissonance, and I actually think this is the key thing missing from RGR's arguments about gender. I think every trans person, binary or non-binary and gender non-conforming, experiences a thing called gender dissonance, and we'll get into that another time. But I want to be really clear on this. It's okay to not like someone's videos. It's okay to not like someone's critiques. You can disagree with them, but you actually have to come up with arguments. Not just pithy videos that clip them in the most negative context possible, followed by the same clip of Superman and Lois Lane from The Adventures of Lois and Clark saying yikes. Now, if people want to check out that video, the Natalie whinging one, check it out, come to your own conclusions. I always suggest that. If you want to see someone else do a takedown of it in moment to moment, Vosh has a video on this. I believe it's, and this is the quote, I don't like this necessarily, but it's what the name of the video is. Lily Orchard's video on ContraPoints is bitter, dishonest trash, which is a little aggressive, not great, but not untrue entirely. So I just want to make this clear. We need to be better than this. If we are really going to live as leftists, if we are going to try to make the world a better place, and I know these sound like naive bullshit, but if we are going to try to make the world a better place, we need to do this. And that means not lashing out at one another who are trying to do good. If you see someone screwing up, great. Educate them. Try to make them better. But don't lash out online. And the problem is I know I'm guilty of this. On my other accounts, I know I occasionally will say something pithy, and then I catch myself and go, what the fuck is wrong with me right now? There's a difference between shitposting and having a long-term attack against various people. Lily's post that I showed you is not the first time she's made comments about Lindsay Ellis, and again, has really just been her kind of spitting out vitriolic things that aren't really true, and mostly just been name-calling. What does that do? So Lily, my invitation to you is this. If you ever want to talk, if you ever want to connect, I am here and willing. And I want you to know that I do respect you. And I do think that you make good points. I think you make good arguments sometimes. But when it comes to the way you treat people, I think it's really, really inappropriate. I get being angry. I get being upset as a trans woman. And as far as I know, I remember correctly, your ethnicity is that you're a Native American. I understand those things there. But I want to be very clear that we can't always just use vitriol and anger to get what we want. It doesn't work. We can talk about our similar abuses. I'm also a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. I know you've gone through trauma. I get what that does to a person. Doesn't make it right. So I want you to hear this as somebody reaching out and saying that I really liked your content at one point and then something got weird. Please hear this as somebody just giving a critique and not trying to hurt you.